How's it going, guys? Just letting you guys know in the Telegram group right now that I just went live on YouTube. Short Q&A. As you guys come into the chat here, we'll just start. Short Q&A. What the fuck is the end button? Looking for the end button. There we go. What are you guys up to? So if you come into the chat here, just drop your questions in the live chat there, and then we can just do some USMLE Q&A. It's just going to be a short hour. And as you come in, just what's going on, Assad? What are you doing? Well, I guess you're first here, so just give the guys, as you come in, give the video a like as well, so algorithm will kick things up and bring people here. Thanks, guys. Yeah, give the live stream a like. It'll kick the algorithm up and bring people here. We're just going to do a short Q&A. So Assad says, "What's up, Doc?" Sabi. Hello again, Mike. Should I bother doing new UWorld questions that get updated every now and again after already finishing cubing? You could. I mean, why not? Yeah, you could do that. It's not a crisis, but you've already finished QBank. You're just going to be on the NBME exams, right? So, yeah. Okay, Yash Ranga. Hello, Michael. Youssef Joeed. Quick update on that chick that you told us about on IG Live. That's hilarious. Because it's like, obviously, I'd like to answer that. I just started a Q&A for medical stuff, literally. Like, I'm already going to answer non-med questions. I did an IG Live. It's 3:39 a.m. So if I seem cracked out, it's 3:39 a.m. on Tuesday for me right now in Japan. I did an IG Live at like 6:40 p.m. My time, which would have been like 5:40 a.m. in the United States. So like, and at the end of that IG Live, I kind of like, there was some chick in the background. I said I was going to approach her, and I did after the IG Live. But someone just asked about that in the chat here. The chick actually lives in my building. That's what was funny. I'll just leave it at that. I'm here to answer med questions right now. We could talk about me after, right? Actually, not even today. We're just going to do this for an hour, and then I have to go to the gym. Yusuf, Alvaro says, "What's up, Mehlman? About to read your high yield risk factors PDF. It's a good fucking PDF. I recommend doing the risk factors PDF. I've said that it has a 2CK tilt. I've said that. So, and that's in the preface in the start of that PDF. So if you open the PDF, you know, there's like a paragraph at the start of my PDFs where I say like, this isn't a 700-page superfluous neuroanatomy atlas, whatever, right? Well, I preface that it's a 2CK tilt PDF, but if you're studying for step one, there's those of you who are hyper OCD about the notion of risk factors showing up. So all right, you can look at it for step one, but it's a 2CK tilt PDF, and it's fucking ace, all right? Especially for family medicine. It could be thought of as a family medicine 2.0 PDF. Abudus94 says hi. Shabab Chowdhury. What is the chances of matching with a fail on step one? You can match, okay? You can match on step one. You just can't have entitlement. Okay, so you have to be willing to apply broadly. You can't like expect to get into Mount Sinai or like, you know, Brigham Women's Hospital in Boston with a fail. But I mean, you can apply broadly, and you apply into transitional as well as preliminary years. They're 1-year programs as opposed to 4-year categoricals or 5-6-year categoricals, right? So you apply broadly into prelim and transitional years. And I've said that that's how you can match. People who don't match, who have, I mean, whether just in general or if there's adversities such as fails on a step exam, it's often because they don't apply into preliminary and transitional years. So you got to have, you got to be mindful of that. If you apply into those as well, you'll be able to maximize the chance of a match. Amena Sufia. Hey, Michael. If all the self-assessments are used and only UWorld self-assessment is left, then what percentage of UWorld is safe? If you mean all the NBME exams are used and only UWorld self-assessment is left, is that what you're referring to? If you've used all of the NBME exams, then I will sometimes have someone do a UWorld self-assessment. It's not ideal, okay? I'd have to know your situation specifically as far as like why you've exhausted all the assessments and did you have fails on those assessments. But I don't often advise doing UWorld self-assessment exams unless someone is in a dire situation and really, yeah, doesn't have anything else to do. You could go back and do maybe 19 or 18 offline in addition. Guys, if you're joining the live stream here, why don't you give the video a like? I appreciate it, and it will drive the algorithm up a bit, bring more people here. Abu's 94. I failed step one. I didn't finish UWorld. Should I do it all over again? Um, well, look, I mean, it goes both ways. Like we could say you could do NBME 20 if you're in a rush to sit again, right? Like you failed step one, you want to get this over with as soon as possible, or your school is forcing you to sit it pretty soon in the future. You could sit NBME 20, 21 offline, see how you do on those. And if you do shitty, that just reaffirms that unfortunately, yes, we have to go back to QBank. I mean, it makes sense to have to do QBank again if um, we need to build your foundation up. Okay, I mean that's pretty logical. Often I'll have a student do a month of QBank, and then we can do NBMEs 20 through 31. Even if you've exhausted those exams before, because you've already taken a fail on USMLE, well, I'm going to have you do all of those NBMEs again, 20 to 31, including free 120. So about 2 months. If you failed step one, 2 months, 1 month of QBank, my PDFs, YouTube MCQs, a month of NBMEs 20 to 30 and free 120. Alex Salazar, doing step two. I've been scoring average 55 to 70 in UWorld, timed random with 40% finished. Do you think I could pass the 2CK in 2 months? You could pass if that's your goal to pass, but wouldn't you want to like ace it? Because it's like 95% of the competitiveness of your application. So if you're only 40% done with UWorld, then it means you've got over 2,000 questions, 2,200 plus questions remaining. So 2,300 questions plus remaining. So that's going to take you at least another month. And then I want 7 weeks for all the CMS forms times two. So CMS forms, all 50 forms, well, 45 to 50 forms. Sometimes students have trouble finding some of the offline forms. I'm not fussed. That's why I say 45 to 50. As long as you do about 45 forms plus, I'm content as that equivalent to a pass of the CMS forms. But CMS, you finish QBank, and then you're gonna do CMS forms 3 to 3.5 weeks, NBME 6 through 8 offline, double pass of all the CMS forms. Holy shit! Free 120, 9 through 14. Pretty sure 14 for TCK just came out. I haven't had any students sit 14, but someone had mentioned quickly in the Telegram group the other day that 14 may have come out. But I mean, if it has, then yes, you're going to do 9 through 14. Faize Abbasi. I'm sure I just butchered your fucking name, right? Hello, Mike. Thanks for your guide for my step two. USMLE survival's high. Mr. Amateur 96. How do I go through step two UWorld with respect to annotations, note making? I've said that you don't have to make annotations from UWorld. I've said that. My PDFs as well. I want you to just read. You're just going to read. Okay. So some of you say, but wait, how am I going to remember stuff if I'm not annotating, if I'm not making Anki? You have to be comfortable with remembering, forgetting. That's a cyclical, normal process. The most common impediment I observe with students over the years that I have observed and continue to observe is the notion of not remembering things well enough. So students will just at what point are you subjectively comfortable with moving forward with material when you can stare into space and recite it 6 times? At what point? So I just want you moving through content. You don't have to annotate. Okay. Usama CH. I'm guessing you're a Chowdhury as well. There's a million Chowdhuries. Hi, Mike. Mike, I couldn't find UWorld Step 2 offline anywhere on the internet. Where can I find it? Don't fucking know. All right. I mean, what do you want me to say? It's that stuff gets passed around, but I'm not gonna advocate on a live on a live stream about illegally doing something. UWorld you're supposed to do online, but I don't know. We'll just leave it at that. Ahmed, if step one was numerical, would you recommend FA? I said yes. I need to go over 75 on my comp. Should I use FA? I've articulated numerous times that there's nothing wrong with F. People are like, Mike, why don't you like FA? I have nothing against FA. I'm agnostic in that regard. It's just it's superfluous now that step one is pass fail, right? I mean, it developed over 2 decades when step one was numerical. So, the whole gunner culture of like needing to get a 280 on step one, where you'd memorize that like Mehlmanmedical CD3 binds to the epsilon subunit, right, of CD3, like nonsense like that was like stuff you memorized because you were trying to ace a numerical step one. So FA, that's how they developed you know, their compendium, and it's superfluous. So you're asking a hypothetical that doesn't have a basis in reality anymore, right? Like you're saying, like if step two or pass fail, would you recommend 2 passes of the CMS forms? It's like, well, it's not fucking pass fail step two. So I mean, what relevance does that question have, right? So um, I recommend you go through my PDFs. How's that sound? Right? Like go through my PDFs. I've inculcated that. Yash Ranga, Mike scoring 80-ish in NBMEs. That's high. Would this prep make me ready for step two as well? If you're talking about step one that you've had 80s on NBMEs and you're asking, um, like, are you saying because you're scoring high in step one NBMEs, you're already ready for step two? The answer is no. No. There's maybe 50% overlap, 50 to 60% plus overlap between step one and step two. If you ace step one in theory, like if you could get a numerical equivalent of like 260 plus on step one, then you've already finished like, I don't know, 60+% of your step two prep. But most people aren't going to strive that high in step one anymore because it's pass fail. Jelly's saying, hey, for Kaplan comp, would you recommend only doing Kaplan QBank? The answer is no. Or your PDFs, NBME, UWorld? The answer is yes to that. Finding it hard to know what to do, need to pass 68%. How laughable would that be? Like for Kaplan to be like, because we're administering the comp exams, now we're going to have you do our shitty QBank in turn to pass our shitty comp exam. That's not reflective of the USMLE. Like, how laughable would that be? You're taking like one negative variable and then you're like compounding it with a second negative variable. It's a bad fucking idea. Okay. So you're going to do UWorld or Amboss have said that they are non-superior to each other. You're going to do my PDFs, my YouTube MCQs. You're going to do the NBME material when you get there, right? Tahira Joseph, hello. I've only done your high yield arrows PDF. Good. That you've covered it. Not that you've only done it. You should do more. Yes. And you have your exam in 2 weeks. In the final weeks of my preparation, which other PDFs of yours should I do? My question is, have you done the fucking NBMEs 20 to 31 as I've inculcated, right? 20 through 24 for 120, then 25 to 31. Have you done those? If you have, and you're doing well in the NBMEs, right? I'm presuming that let's say you're passing the NBMEs with no issue, right? Let's say you're passing the NBMEs and you're just asking me like in a vacuum, like, okay, like which PDFs should I do later in my prep apart from high yield arrows? You could do the high yield reviews 1, 2, 3, 4, right? I've said those are basically internal medicine forms. Those would be like an alternative to first aid's like rapid review at the end. The high yield review mixed PDFs 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll notice some clinical details in there. You can just like ignore them. Like I think in some of them I have like, maybe in one of them I have like indications for statins or something. It's like clearly you don't need to know that for step one, but like, there's a lot of like good factoids in there that are good to just run through for rapid review, right? Cardio PDF is really good. That's a very solid PDF. Just like double check your ECGs, the murmurs, all that stuff. A lot of good factoids. Shabe 251 says, my step one exam is tomorrow. Do the high yield endocrine PDF. That's like a very short version of the high yield arrows PDF. Like high yield arrows is like the proper lengthy high yield endocrine, mostly endocrine, and physio. Okay. If you're wondering, like, well, do you have high yield physio? It's high yield arrows. But high yield endocrine PDF is just like bullet points of endocrine. I would do that in your final like 2 weeks as well. Shabe says, Sheba 251. My exam is tomorrow. Thanks for all your free stuff. Good luck tomorrow. Jat says, I'm doing my second pass of CMS now before taking the other NBMEs. Okay. Okay. Is there a question like a fix to that? Or is it just like, it's like, all right. Guys, if you're joining the live stream, why don't you give the stream a like, por favor? And that'll bump the algorithm up and get some people here. Even though I said I'm only doing this for an hour today. I'm cracked out. It's 3:53 a.m. where I am. And says, love your PDFs and Anki. What's your recommendation for strengthening weak areas in step 1 like cardio? Just fucking said. Myocardia PDF, right? So why don't you do that, right? You can do my myocardia PDF. I've said that that's going to boost your cardio. And then you say that you've done Pathelma and UWorld, but you still miss some concepts. Ahmed Hassan says, what's the best way to prepare for step 2 CK to get the highest score possible? I mean, you want like a 40-minute step 2 CK discussion right now? Nothing preventing me from doing that, right? We're live, but it's like, I've said for CK that you're going to do all of AMBOSS or UWorld. Okay, so it's 4,100 questions in UWorld. It's 3,700 in AMBOSS. You do all those questions, take you maybe 2 months. Obviously, you could be post-grad or on rotations. I'm saying if you're post-grad, it's going to take you 2 months to get through all of AMBOSS or UWorld. You're going to do the CMS forms 3 to 3.5 weeks, and maybe 6 through 8 offline, double pass of all the CMS forms, free 120, 9 through 14 NBMEs. If you're on rotation, subject specific, you're going to do, obviously, for each respective shelf, e.g. pediatrics, you'll do all the Q-Bank questions for peds. You would do my PDF for pediatrics. You do my YouTube MCQs, my playlist for pediatrics. You would do the CMS, the 8 CMS forms for pediatrics times 2. I mean, okay. Mawan says, Mawan Ahmed John. I feel like I've seen your name like years ago. Ahmed John. Hey, just wanted to know for step 1, do we learn all those cardiopulm formulas? The answer is no. That's a waste of fucking time for the pass-fail step 1. Like, you should know ejection fraction. Like, know that. But you don't need to know, like, obscure formulas. Like, the weird, like, CO2 equations and shit. Winter's formula for acid base. That's not really cardiopulm per se. I mean, pulm. But you could know Winter's formula is more like higher level 2CK. It can show up occasionally. Faize Abbasi, can you explain more about step 3 preparation? Sure. I've said that you're going to go through all the CMS forms for step 3, the same as you are for 2CK. So you're going to do all the CMS forms once. You're going to do all the 2CK NBMEs. Yep, the 2CK NBMEs, 6 through 14. You're going to do the single step 3 NBME. And you're going to do UWorld, which is 1,900 questions for step 3. And you're going to do the CCS cases, right? That's what you need to do for step 3. And also, that's just kind of like a general point, but it depends on when you're sitting step 3. In other words, if you are coming off step 2 and you say, well, like, especially it's relevant to like this time of year, because I have some students who will like take step 2-ish, like step 2 around now, and then they want to apply this year. And it's like, well, maybe we could knock out step 3. You take your, your bullshit English exam, like the OET or whatever it is. You take step 2, you knock like OET out of the way, and then you take the step 3, right? So you take the OET, and then you start studying for step 3. You have to get your pass score in 2CK on the OET, and then you get your ECFMG certification. It takes another 2 weeks. Then you can register for step 3, and you're good to sit step 3. And so when you finish step 2, you can just start doing UWorld for step 3 right away. If you're going to wait, let's say 18 months after 2 years after you've taken step 2 in order to sit step 3, you're like, fuck it, I'm going to sit it when I'm in residency. Just be aware you're going to have to redo all the CMS forms and step 2 NBMEs again in the future. So if you can do it back to back, step 2 and then step 3, like 2 months later, you don't have to do all the CMS forms and be a step 2 NBMEs again. Okay, that's the benefit of like knocking it out right after step 2. I'm aware that like 99% of you are step 1 or step 2 though. You guys, most of you aren't studying for step 3. Let me see. I lost where I was in the chat. Jane Moore, fancy a change to anesthesia. What are chances of matching gas with a blatant IM skewed CV? I mean, you have to get a good 2CK score and get a good letter. I mean, from someone in anesthesia, right? I mean, no one gives a fuck. They have an IM skewed CV, quote unquote. Like, what does that even mean? People, you could have like an OBGYN CV and apply an anesthesia and they'd be open to you. Like, it's good to have perspectives, right? It's good to have variation in your program. Milan Ahmed John. Secondly, scoring 72 plus on NBMEs is a good to pass step exam in 9 days. 72 is good on the NBMEs, right? 72 is strong on the NBME exams. Taha says, yes, Milan. Andrea Uluke. Do you advise to do a self-assessment prior to starting NBME? No. Prior to starting USMLE prep? No. Okay, so no, I don't want you sitting an NBME of any kind prior to starting USMLE prep. No, you're just going to do QBank. And then you're going to sit your first NBME 20 after you finish QBank, 2021 after you finish QBank. I've talked a lot about this stuff, okay? But 2021 after you finish QBank. For step 2, you're going to do all of QBank, CMS forms, then you'll do 6 and 7. Those will be the first 2 NBMEs you touch. I don't want you wasting NBMEs prior to starting your USMLE prep because you're going to do shitty on them, obviously, and then you waste them. It's like, well, what do you want? You want like a shitty baseline score to know that you don't know anything right now? It's about changing our management. You don't fucking order a CT scan and give the patient radiation if it's not going to change our management. It's not going to change our management if we have you do an NBME exam prior to your prep, because whether you score shitty or well on it, you're still going to go through QBank anyway. Kali Me Capilati. Where is your clinical rotation PDF? I took it down because I wrote like a PDF on like how to ace your clinical rotations, how to do one in clinical rotations. I took it down because I'd written it after I finished med school. My thoughts have evolved. That PDF basically teaches you how to be like a supplicating beta to get through med school. Like, that was, my personality is very abrasive and assertive, and that can rub people the wrong way. And I had to learn how to be a fucking like subjugated beta on my rotations in order to like, you know, not piss people off and like get through, which I finished med school. But that PDF teaches you how to like, you know, as I just said, be a toady, be obsequious while you're on rotations. And I took it down just because I don't see that as like necessary to inculcate those points anymore. But I'm sure it's like around the internet somewhere. It's like hilarious. Like, my PDFs that like I fucking put out for free. Like, you can like Google my PDFs and they'll be like websites that like take my fucking PDFs, put them behind like some wall where you have to fucking subscribe to them to like fucking like view my PDFs. That's like what happens with the internet. I'm sure you can find my like old PDFs somewhere. Lone Wolf, can you please talk more about the preliminary year? Do I get to choose which department I want to work in? You preliminary, you apply into like IM prelim or surge prelim or obs-gyn prelim. Transitional years are basically just rotations, right? Like a transitional year will be like a 5th year of med school, or for those of you in 6-year programs, like a 7th year of med school. But prelim years, yeah, you would apply into like 40 IM prelim years or something. That's what you would do. Blueface, what do you think of dirty medicine? I don't have an opinion. I just noticed that the YouTube channel has a lot of fucking subs, obviously. And that, for that level of like, for that sub count, the engagement is not where it should be. Right? Like, I don't have a lot of I don't have a lot of subs. I only have like 16K subs on my YouTube, but like my engagement is pretty good thanks to you guys. I don't take that for granted. But when you have like 550,000 fucking subs, you should be having like hundreds of thousands of views. You should be having like 50,000, 90,000 views per every video you put out. It shouldn't be like 2,000 views. Like my views are almost similar to like that channel. It's nothing derogatory. We're talking like, you know, you asked my opinion. I don't have any. I mean, people are passionate about putting out content. Isn't that a good thing? Right? That's good. That's hilarious. You also say USMLE guys basically make video against everything I say. Well, I mean, I don't really give a fuck what like other people say about my views on USMLE stuff because I know I'm very like confident in like what I know about USMLE and like what I teach. So in terms of like going through the NBME exams, going through the CMS forms, like I don't really give a fuck what anyone fucking says. So I mean, that's okay. People say a lot of fucking shit about me. Open your fucking mouth and say some shit about me. I mean, like, do it. That's not gonna change. They're against doing questions and memorizing NBMEs. You should be memorizing NBMEs. If you're not memorizing the NBMEs before your real USMLE, that's an audacious fucking move. That's a bad fucking move. That's audacity. You know, like a decade ago when I sat over a decade ago when I sat step one, not everyone did QBank. Does that sound weird? Right? Because nowadays, if you're not doing QBank, what are you doing? You'd be like, what do you mean you're not doing QBank? Like 100% of people do QBank, right? Not everyone did QBank when I prepped for step one 11 years ago. Well, it's like this for NBMEs 20 through 31, memorizing them, memorizing the NBMEs. Like people might do some NBMEs, yes, maybe some of the online ones, sure. But they're not like Anki hardcore memorizing the, 20 through 31, free 120, as I've been harping on. Well, I think in time, people, I'm not going to over speculate if I grow an influence, especially and I'm inculcating the same points. But eventually, let's say in 5 years, everyone will be fucking doing all the NBME exams. And if they're not, it's like, well, what are you doing? And people will say, like 5 years ago, not everyone was doing all the NBME exams. Isn't that weird? People are like, really? Like, what were they doing then? They were doing like Pathoma, and they were doing like, I mean, that's the kind of, Sierra Elaine says, hi, looking to restudy for step one after 48 to 49 drop. Any tips? I have not sat for the exam, but I've taken a 2-week break from studying after feeling burned out. I'm asking, what do you mean a 48 to 49 drop? What does that mean? If you're scoring 48 to 49%, obviously that's not high enough. I'm not sure what you're asking, Sierra. Aziz, hi, Mike. I've been following you for more than 2 years now. Thanks, Aziz. I'm aspiring to sit USMLE in the near future. Your PDFs are amazing. Thanks. That's cool, Aziz. Got it, Sierra. 80% finished with UWorld, completed 26, 28, 29, and UWorld 2. I still don't know what you're asking. Idris, we love you. Taha, hi, Michael, nice hat. Muskin MGN, how to go through the physio and anatomy of every system for step one. Some of your PDFs don't have it. Well, which ones are you like butthurt over right now? Which subjects are you like discontent with? I mean, you have to understand, guys, like, it's hard to please everybody. There's some of you who want fucking 3,000 pages of like, this is the heart. This is a blood vessel. I mean, this is what the superior vena cava is. This is a cell. This is a mitochondrion. Some people want like very fucking basic shit. Others are just like, what are the high yield bullet points for like 2 weeks out from my exams? So my PDFs are a good balance. I mean, if it's high yield, I include it. Right? If it's high yield, I include it. Fariha Fatima, I passed step one and got good scores in my NBMEs. Can I be a step one tutor, or do I need to do training? You have to have a 2CK. Now that we have a step 1 pass, you'd have to have a good 2CK score to be a tutor on my team, basically, because I can't, like, if you just have a pass on step 1, like, that doesn't mean anything now. Even if your NBMEs were good, I don't care. Taha, old CMS forms don't have explanations. Where can we find them? Use ChatGPT. Seriously, you can highlight. Some of you guys are like, "Oh shit, really?" You can literally highlight the questions depending on the Mac you use, like the PC you have. Like I have a Mac from end of 2021. It allows me to take like screenshots that where you shouldn't even be able to highlight the text, and it allows you to highlight the text, and you can just copy paste that in a Chat GPT, and it will give you like explanations. Like you could do that. Just be aware that it's sometimes wrong with the answer it chooses for a question. So if you like copy and paste a USMLE question into ChatGPT, it'll get the answer wrong sometimes. It passed USMLE, but it doesn't get like 100. Like I've had students complain to me that ChatGPT was wrong with the answer it chose. Um, so what you want to do if you use ChatGPT for NBME help is to already know the answer, be like, D's the fucking answer, and then ask ChatGPT like why it's the fucking answer, why A is wrong. Can you help it elaborate? You want to use that as a tool. Okay. Mustafa Muhammad. Would you change anything about the tetrad if step 1 was numerical? What is with these hypotheticals that are like non-existent? Step 1's not fucking numerical. Like once again, would I recommend not doing double pass CMS forms if 2CK's pass fail? Well, 2CK is numerical. Let me see. I just lost where I was in the chat. Albert. I've just done NBME 28 and it's 70%. That's good. Exam on 4th of July. Should I postpone it and do all the NBMEs? Well, you have to do the other NBMEs. You don't have to necessarily postpone. If you do like some of the other NBME exams and you're getting 3-digit score conversions of 205, 210 plus, like you don't have to postpone, right? So what I want you to do is type into Google Images NBME 28 score conversion Reddit, and I want you to plug your number of wrongs into the equation. You get your 3-digit score conversion. You're going to do that for the NBMEs you sit, and if you're getting 205, 210 plus, which 70% is pretty good, then you're fine to sit. You don't have to postpone. But I'd want you to obviously have finished all the NBME exams. Gaurav says, just had my step 1 today. It went well, I think. Gaurav, how much time is needed for step 2 prep? I've said about 4 months. Because it's going to take you 2 months to go through all of QBank, like 4,100 for UWorld, 3,700 for Amboss. And then it's going to take you 7 weeks to do 2 passes of all the CMS forms. Like another 2 weeks to do the NBME 6 through 14 as well as Free 120. So you got to do all that. So I'd say 4 months for like step 2 prep. Mr. Amateur 96. For step 2, should I know your PDFs inside out? Yes. Kuzim Khan, how to revise UWorld explanations of used questions. How many questions per day? I've said 40 to 80 per day. Never fewer than 40 per day. Never more than 80 per day in QBank period. Amboss or UWorld. And how to fit this into the timeline. Guys, when you're going through QBank, I've said you're going to do 40 questions in the morning. You take lunch, and then the afternoon can either be 40 more questions if you really have an urge to get through more, or it can just be my PDFs, my YouTube MCQs. In terms of UWorld explanations, you don't have to obsess over them. Like, I want you to read them. I don't want you to skip them, but you don't have to annotate. As I said, you don't have to make an Anki from them. Guys, if you're joining the live stream here, please give it a like. It'll kick up the algorithm, bring more people here. Nick Kamkari, what to do if you've done a ton of urology research and worked with impactful researchers, but your step 2 score falls short. Just took step 1 now, studying for step 2, going for academic uro-oncology. Well, look, I mean, obviously, if you have a letter from a specific institution, a board member or something, that'll help you. If your step 2 CK score has fallen short, then you just can't have entitlement, right? You have to apply broadly into a variety of urology programs, different locations. As I already said a couple times in this live stream, You have to be willing to apply into prelim and transitional years. Currently M3 at University of Massachusetts, UMass. Mr. Clever, hey Mike, do you have any tips for preparing for Comlex? Well, you're going to do the same as step one prep. You'll obviously do your ComSays. You'll do your OMM Blue Book nonsense. That's pretty much. I already answered the second part of your question, which is how does it differ compared to USMLE? Yeah, I pretty much prep. I have Comlex students. I prep them the same as step one. I tell them to do their little Blue Book OMM stuff on their own time, just whenever you can fit it in. And yeah, you'll do some ComSays, but I have them do NBMEs 20 through 31 and free 120. GT, thank you for your $2 super chat. I really appreciate it. $2. I can get like a water. I can get like a water at the gym with that. Thanks, GT. Appreciate it. Kuzaim Khan, you mentioned a bunch of cuck resources. Yeah, your comment, this entire comment I'm reading right now is just like a bunch of cuck resources I've never like recommended, and like, should I do like cuck resource 1, 2, or 3? Like none of them. Like none of them. Ahmed Carey, Medicare, Medicaid, etc. Is this stuff important? No, it's not. Can I take my exam without them? Step one. Like questions like that, like very rare, exceedingly rare. Okay. Especially those programs that are subject to change, they can differ by state. When there can be an equivocal answer regarding like an insurance question, etc., abortion, like per state, etc., USMLE tends to, they can only have one definite answer, and it's usually something you can reason through. How should Medicaid be allocated, to people without income? And like, you're like, what the fuck? I don't know the specifics, but like 4 of the answers are clearly fucking wrong, and then you can reason your way through it. I wouldn't obsess over it. I wouldn't care. Aza Halfawi says, when should I do CMS forms through my prep for 2CK? P.S. I am doing IFOM, but it's the same, I guess. IFOM is like an easier version of USMLE. I go through I have IFOM 1 and 2 on my computer, actually. It's easier than USMLE, but it's like basically the same. I've said do the CMS forms after you finish UWorld or AMBOSS. So you're going to do all of QBank, AMBOSS, or UWorld, all the CMS forms, 2 forms per day, 3 to 3.5 weeks for the 45, 50 forms. You're going to do 6 through 8, double pass the CMS forms, free 120, 9 through 14. Kuzain Khan, how much should be the gap between step 1 and step 2 for a good score? 4 months. You need 4 months to prep for 2CK, I'd say, minimum. Michael, what is the most predictive NBME now? All the NBMEs are equally predictive in my view. But if it's a multiple choice question, obviously you're going to choose the latest number just because that's like theoretically the latest release, but they're all fucking equally predictive. I could have you sit in one of the very old NBMEs, and like you wouldn't even know the difference. Concepts are the same. Fariha, Fatima, are scores more important for the match than good LORs, research, etc.? Yep. That's all they care about. Like they only care about like numbers. They don't care who you are as a person. They just care about your numbers. That's all they care about. You're just a faceless, like it's very impersonal. They don't give a fuck about your research. They don't give a fuck about your volunteer activities. They don't care who you are as a person. They don't care about like anything. Just what are your scores? And then after you go in there for the interview, after you meet the score threshold, they'll read your personal statement to make sure you're not full of yourself. You have to be able to demonstrate some humility in your communications and not demonstrate hubris. They look for a team player. They're looking to see that you're not going to be about you and that you are going to go in there and just like, the worst thing you can do is talk yourself up in your personal statement. That's not what you want to do. It's not about fucking you. The whole idea of the personal statement is to just, demonstrate that you really like working with people and that you're humbled and that you've had adversity and that, and obviously have good sentence structure. It's not about you. I think the personal statement's more about like eliminating people rather than like you're not going to capture a fucking program director, board members like interest through your personal statement. It's a negative screening measure. It's they will rule people out. Negative selection, like in the medulla of the thymus. It's fucking negative selection. They'll fucking rule out people who demonstrate hubris. Michael Asamoah, most predictive NBME step 1, 31. Juan Dugarte just took 120 at the center and got 78%. That's good. NBME is 25-30, mid 60s, borderline. NBME what, 60%? Am I ready to go to step 1? I'd want your 3-digit score conversions from those because the scales can differ. The percentages, 2-digit percentages will differ per form. I'd want your 3-digit score conversions, the dates, and then I could have you sit other forms as well, like 20 through 24. You didn't do those, did you? You need to do NBME's 20 through 24 offline. You got a 68% NBME 31. Volchi, I learn better from your PDFs than UWorld. So I stopped doing UWorld and only focusing on your stuff. People from my school did your PDFs over UWorld. Their scores improved and they passed. Your thoughts? Well, my PDFs are fucking good. I mean, yeah, it makes sense. Not everyone can look. This isn't like my PDFs are not like it's not an and/or situation with my PDFs in UWorld. Like you need to do questions. Like you need to do a QBank. My PDFs would be an and/or with like some other written resource like FA. That's like a contrast. I mean, I wouldn't recommend anyone doing my PDFs in place of like UWorld. Like you're not going to do one or the other. You should do both. Okay, you're going to do questions and you're going to do my PDFs. It would be audacious sitting in the USMLE without doing QBank. Like I'd be like, what are you doing? Udav Sudan, 133. What residency you are working in right now? I'm not in fucking residency. I'm in Japan. Ethiopia cram. Mike, so we have Sudan and Ethiopia. Mike, can you please do you like, can you guys run like long distance? You guys have like really good long distance runners, right? It's 4:20. I'm going to go to the gym in like 18 minutes here. I'm literally only doing an hour. This isn't going to be a long live stream. I'm cracked the fuck out right now. I had a tea before starting this live stream. Ethiopia cram. Can you please do detail exam strategy? When I see myself, I don't have knowledge gap. But the problem with reading the question better, I sometimes miss important clues in the question. I don't know what to do. I mean, you obviously have to do more questions to get better at them, right? I've said that like 2 important like strategies approaching questions is don't choose weird sounding shit. And if you don't know an answer, don't change your answer. Okay, you got to go with your gut on things. I've said that a lot in my content. Those are like 2 very basic strategies. If you think an answer might be sickle cell, but you're not 100% sure, you don't know, and then you're like sitting over it, and then you choose thalassemia, wrong fucking answer. It was sickle cell. Don't change your answer when you don't know, and don't choose weird sounding shit. Okay, I'll have students like I'll send them a question they don't know, and then they'll choose some obscure fucking enzyme or obscure fucking answer. I'm like, have you ever heard of that before in your entire life? They're like, no. I'm like, why'd you fucking choose it? They're like, I don't know. I'm like, try again. And then like the answer is like something very like common, like asthma. Udav Sudan, you ask again what residency I'm in. You asked 4 times what residency I am in. I said I'm in fucking Japan. Ali, do you think there's value watching your content if I'm not in med school yet? Well, you can obviously watch my stuff. There are people who are not in medicine who watch my stuff, actually. I literally left like my Instagram story. Like I literally posted a screenshot, like one of the comments I got from, by the way, guys, do you like my new sticker? This one's new. I got this one today. It's actually the same as this pin right here. Anyway, I don't even know what I was fucking like answering. Oh, if you're not in medicine, should you go through my content? I mean, if you're not in medicine yet, like if you want to do my content for fun, that's cool. But like, it's like, would I want to study like law school content if I'm not in law school? Like for fun, if I fucking like law or something. I mean, if you mean like you're prepping for med school, that's what you're getting at. I wouldn't, because like once you're in med school, you got to fucking deal with like studying and stuff, right? You'll party in first year, second year, and then things are gonna get more serious. Gassan Jabawi. Would you recommend the CMS forms NBME over URL for CCSE? CCSE, for those of you who don't know, is like the CBSE, but for level 2 stuff. I've said, Gassan, I've said you're going to do all of it. So you're going to do the QBank, the questions, and then you're going to do the CMS forms for CCSE for your shelf exams. But for the cumulative one as well, you're not going to do one or the other. You should be finishing QBank prior to that. I just literally lost where I was in the chat again. Sometimes when you guys post something, the chat just decides to like move. Let's see. Blueface says you have good engagement because you interact with the subscribers. Well, kind of like maybe recently, right? I just started doing these lives. I think it's more consistency. I think that's what it is. It's consistency. It's not easy. I post videos every fucking day. That's like, some people will like start a channel and they post like 30 videos and then they're like, this is hard. I don't want to do this. It's like, no fucking shit, it's hard. Wouldn't it be nice if we all had like 90,000 subs? Wouldn't that be nice? Well, it doesn't fucking happen like that. It's called, you got to put out content every fucking day. Every fucking day. If I don't put out content for one day, someone gets salty. Let's see. How many times are you going to ask me, Udav, like what residency I'm in right now? I think that's the 5th time you've asked that. You really want to fucking know. I graduated med school and then I moved to Japan. I do USMLE. I'm not some cuck doctor practicing in residency or attending. Mustafa. Fact that you're reading all comments, including names, is great. Most streamers don't do that. You're the GOAT. Well, it's because that's laughable, because it's because I don't, maybe it's because my sub count isn't that high, actually. If there's like 200, if I have 200,000 subs and this chat is literally flying fucking through right now, no, I wouldn't be able to read everything. I'd only be able to read paid super chats, or I would address paid super chats. If there's literally thousands of fucking comments, right? But when you're small, you can read things more slowly. How to do renal for step 2. Go through my high-yield renal PDF. Do my renal playlist on YouTube, right? Like, that's what you should do. T. Mahender. Your Pulmonaros PDF are God mode. They are fucking excellent. The high-yield pulmonary PDF is very good. High-yield arrows, obviously. Highly specific, rules you in for passing step 1. Ciara, basically, I've done a lot of prep. Dedicated started mid-April and have done lots of UWorld and half of the NBMEs. Not sure where to go now. Should I completely restart or get a tutor? Rosaneri, do you have PDFs for step 2? I do. Surgery, obs-gyn, peds, etc. They're all on my site. Mike M says, seems FA is a distant past. It's really not. Like, this is what goes down. I make this fucking live stream. And then what's going to happen is I'm going to go to the gym, and then I'll be at the gym or something. And then someone will make I'll like check the Telegram group maybe. And someone will make some cuck question. Someone will ask some cuck question about like where can I get FA offline or something. That's literally what happens. Like, you have people who are in my community who like don't know my advice. They like, yeah. I mean, I repeat the same dumb shit because like people ask the same dumb questions. There's that reciprocity, right? That's what it is. Asan says, "Do you think NVMEs are easier or simpler than UWorld? Easier. UWorld's harder than the NVMEs and the USMLE. UWorld's like more tricky. UWorld's more gotcha style. There's going to be left field questions on like NVMe and USMLE, obviously, but UWorld is more has more twists and turns. UWorld is more gotcha, and Amboss. They're more gotcha. Abdullah, what are the chances of matching for non-USIMGs in general? They have like objective stats on that stuff. Obviously, like the stats are lower than AMGs, American grads, but like they have objective match data that you can see for all the specialties, all the scores, which specialties, like all that stuff's on the internet. Suman, call again. How long, or does a long year of graduation can apply for USMLE? What is the chance of matching, please? This is a serious question. I don't know what your fucking question is, Suma. Chance answer will be highly appreciated. Um, Suman, I really don't know what your question is. You can ask in the Telegram group as well. And tag me, and I'll see it after. And I'll try not to be a hubristic asshole, and I'll like try not to give some sarcastic or snide remark. That's usually how I like respond. So like I'll just ask it there, and I can like give you an answer. Sarah Hasib, I just finished first year. I studied anatomy and genetics. Can I prepare for USMLE in the holiday? I just want you to finish QBank, and I want you to do MBMEs 20 through 31, free 120. If you do well on those, you can sit. Only 10 more minutes of this live stream right now because it's 4:30 a.m. here, and I'm gonna go to the gym after. Fakayu Akinbo, listen to this guy. I finished the QBank. I only did 9% of UWorld before taking my exam. When I did pass, I'm going back through UWorld to make sure that I have good enough foundation for step 2. The fuck? I wouldn't recommend that. I would not recommend doing only 9% of UWorld before taking the exam. It's a bad fucking idea. Like if you're so gifted where you can like only you don't have to do QBank and you can sit, that's fine. But like I wouldn't recommend that. Like you want to do the whole QBank for step 1 because that'll prepare you better for 2CK when you get there. Students I have who are weak for 2CK, it's because they lack basic step 1 knowledge much of the time. Dylan Sarmad. Hey, Mike, I got 250 plus on step 1 numerical 2 years ago. I have 6 to 8 months to prep for 2CK. You're a graduate student. How to kill myself for the highest possible score? Thanks. If you have 6 to 8 months and you want to kill yourself for the highest possible score, you can do Amboss and UWorld, both. And then you can do double pass of all the CMS forms in 6 through 14 free 120. That's what you can do. But for everyone else, I would not recommend doing both Amboss and UWorld. It's too much. But if you want to try to get like another like 6 points, if it's, maybe you can milk the QBanks, like you can try. There's going to be diminishing returns, but you can try if you really want. I think you probably will get burned out doing that much QBank though. And you'll just be like, I'm going to try to just go see how I do on the CMS forms and see what happens. And you'll be like, fuck, I'm actually doing well. I can just, let's see. Chat moved to me. Where was I? Rashab Goyle. Hey, Mike, how do you rise from low to NBME scores to high NBME scores? By reviewing the NBMEs hardcore. I've talked about in my other live streams, like actually the last live stream, I think I talked in specific detail about going through like how to make NBME from your, or NBME, what the fuck am I saying? How to make Anki from your NBMEs, right? That's what you're going to do. And you're going to do my PDFs, my YouTube MCQs, right? You do that. Susan. Hey, just Susan Cabello. Hey, I just joined this live. How do you recommend studying for step 2 if my base knowledge is weak? Well, you're gonna do QBank. This notion of like needing to do something prior to QBank, I don't recommend it. You're just gonna start with QBank. That's what you're gonna do. You're just gonna go through QBank. Okay, get shitty scores in QBank. It's okay. Ross Radecki, how do you recommend moving through QBank if your school uses an organ systems based approach? Should you still do random? I talked about this as well. Should you still do random? Look, um, yeah, like obviously most schools are going to have like a subject. You'll have like your cardio quiz, your renal quiz, etc. I recommend going through if you're in first year, you can go through like subject specific, like one of the earlier Q banks, maybe like you could do USMLE RX while you're in first year, but that's different from USMLE prep. That's not, I don't consider that USMLE prep. Like when you get into second year and you're going to do like UWorld and stuff, I want that to be random mode. But in general, if you've got like a subject specific quiz, let's say a GI quiz in 2 weeks in school, and you're asking, should I be doing like UWorld GI rather than random untimed tutor like I've said to do? Um, it's generally like if a student is doing very poorly, in school and is struggling to pass, I can sometimes have him or her do subject specific QBank. So, but for most people, I would just have them do random QBank and then they're going to do my PDF in that subject, my YouTube MCQs in that subject. And then they're like, they can look at like school slides a little bit. And that's enough to like do well enough on their like GI quiz. The reason I don't recommend doing subject specific QBank for USMLE is because for your macro retention, doing random mode is superior than subject specific. If you exhaust all the GI questions now, you're going to forget everything in like 4 months. So it's good to like have those questions stratified over like or longitudinal, do more longitudinal study, random untimed tutor. AM says, so what should low scores? What should I do with low scores? When are you saying they look into? What are you fucking asking me, AM? I'm gonna end this live stream in like 3 minutes, so I'm just gonna look. I'm gonna start selecting med questions right now. Udav Sudan says, "What do you do in Japan?" I'm not gonna make this like my other live streams that are longer. I talk about me a little bit at the end. This live stream's not like long enough for that. Only an hour is like good for you guys for med prep. If I do like 2 hours, like plus, I'll talk about me usually a little bit at the end, answer non-med questions. Fayez, as I'm coming across questions on topics which I have no idea about and it takes ages to review block. What are you fucking asking? Someone just gave a $10 super chat. Who was that? Matt B. Thanks, Matt B. He said spent one week out last year and watched your stuff, stumbled on a video where you said just do blocks of 10. That's right. Was nice to at least do something. Sit step 2. You sat step 2 Thursdays. Spent again sucking it up 10 at a time. Oh, you sit step 2 Thursday. Spent again sucking it up again 10 at a time. I've said, guys, that if you're struggling to get through QBank, that you should be doing blocks of 10. Okay, I've made YouTube clips on this. I know some of you watching this already know this hardcore. You don't need me to explain it. But there's those of you here who don't know what I'm talking about, which is that rather than doing like a monotonous block of 40 in QBank and spacing out ADHD where you're checking your phone every like 2 seconds, like what you could do is just a block of 10. So untimed tutor random block of 10, and your phone has to go in your fucking backpack. The backpack goes across the table at the cafe or across your room. And then no food or drink either. You do nothing but the block of 10. You finish the block of 10, you take a 5-minute break, 7-minute break. You check your phone, grab a quick drink, use the bathroom, watch a YouTube clip that's not med related, like a sports clip or something. And then you do the next block of 10. So knocking out blocks of 10, very efficient. AM, if you start spamming the chat like that, I'm not going to like look at that. Don't do that. Don't spam like that at the end. Let's see. I'm going to select some other med questions right now that I see in here. Black Birdie. I'm still, GT. Thanks for the $2 chat. I know you sent that a while ago. I didn't see that there was a question here. If you're still in the chat, GT, Um, Anki versus PowerPoint for NBME screenshots, question mark. Anki is fine. I've said do Anki. You don't have to do PowerPoints for your screenshots. Just do Anki. I know you made that question like at the beginning of this chat. Bro, do a biceps flex. I don't know. Can you see that? There you go. I'm not even flexing right now. Just moving my arm. There you go. How's that? Does that work? Let's see. RJ says, if I'm going take advice from anyone in my journey to become the cuckest of doctors, it's you, Mike. Appreciate the effort. Your OBGYN Mohal says your OBGYN PDF after page 30 enough for Reaper for step one, question mark. It's pretty good. I mean, I do need to like revamp that PDF into chart format the same way like my cardiopulmonary gastro ones are now. I just have like I have no interest in doing that. I will eventually though. Like you guys are here at a moment in time. Like believe it or not, like last year, 2 years ago, like the PDFs were not as like revamped, right? The content wasn't the same, you know. So in a year's time, yes, there will be updated PDFs. There will be new PDFs. There will be maybe micro Anki cards. Like there will be other things. What book is best for medicine? I'm just selectively looking at your questions right now because I said I'm only doing an hour today. That's because it's 4:40 a.m. here, and I want to go to the gym after this. That's why. Like I didn't want to. I could do like 2 hours cracked out, right? I'm already cracked out. Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna answer one more med question. Um, actually, I don't want to answer that. All right, guys. Obviously, I'm gonna make more clips. I'm gonna make more. I'm gonna do more of these office hour live streams. All right. So this is short. You know, if you look at my other live streams, right, they're all they're on the live tab on my YouTube. I do sometimes 2-3 hours, but this one's short. As I said, I'm gonna hop to the gym right now. That's what I'm gonna do. All right. So I appreciate you guys stopping through the chat. All right. I'll see you guys later.